Welcome to Croft in North Yorkshire for rounds 5 and 6 in the 2015 Moils Toyota MR2 Championship. Sean Traynor leads the standings after the opening 4 rounds, but like all of his rivals, he will face a new challenge this weekend as the championship is visiting the 2.1 mile circuit for the very first time. Before practice got underway, our reporter Matt Suckling caught up with one of the competitors, hoping to make up ground on Traynor.
Mark Barber from the Toyota MR2 Championship here this weekend at Croft, about to go out for qualifying. Been at this circuit before?
No, it's a cold start today for me, so it's going to be learning the track in qualifying and see where we start, I suppose.
How do you go about learning a new track? Do you just get out there and try and follow someone, or do it your own way?
Yeah, it might maybe a good idea to follow a few people. I think most people have said they're tested this weekend, so it'll be, I've watched a few videos, that kind of thing, so kind of roughly know where I'm going, but just break as late as possible and see what happens, I guess.
Had 4 races so far this year. I think most of them have been pretty solid for you. One bad result.
Yeah, one bad result. I had a head gasket blow, unfortunately. Went in for third, kind of competing for first, maybe at that track. But so yeah, we're looking for kind of podium finishes and hopefully get a good championship finish this year.
Yeah, you're inside the top 6, which is pretty healthy. Just keep going strongly and get those points racked up.
That's it. Yeah. Once the kind of the point system kind of drops a few races, hopefully it will float me back up to the top a little bit and just put some solid races in the next couple of races and see where we end up. Really, yeah.
The first of 2 races today then, the grid for this one set by the qualifying session that was held earlier on this afternoon, and it's Sean Traynor that was fastest by almost a quarter of a second from Alex Knight, so the championship leader lines up on pole position. On the second row of the grid it's Martin Farrelly and Christian White, the third row Jim Davis and Cam Walton. The first of the Class C cars, the Mark III Roadsters, that is Stuart Nichols back on row 5, and one driver looking as if he'll be starting from the pit lane is the number 44 car, which is Wayne Lewis. So we go on board then with Christian White from the outside of the second row of the grid, and the race gets underway. Ooh, not too good through the gears there from White, and he loses a little bit of ground to Farrelly, who started alongside him on that second row of the grid, but it is Sean Traynor, the man that leads the points, goes into Clervaux in the lead of the race, and this big field, 32 cars, making its way through Clervaux corner for the first time. Then a bit of dust kicked up there as 1 or 2 cars venture through the gravel trap. Now this is Mark Barber, we heard from him before the race. He lined up 12th on the grid. That looks like it is probably Stuart Nichols that is just up ahead of him. Stuart, yes, in the 88 car, started directly ahead of Mark on row 5 of the grid, a bit further down than we normally see Stuart. He was a winner at Brands Hatch last time out. Through Tower Corner then, the number 11 car there is Jim Davis, 56. Just in behind him is Cam Walton, the 23-year-old who studied motorsport engineering at Brunel University. As the cars make their way through the Jim Clark S's now, and on the short straight towards Barcroft, the right-hander heading out onto the back of the circuit, up towards the double right-hander then at Sunny. Christian White, you can see there in the number 4 car, is just behind Walton. White, who made that quite poor start from the second row of the grid. So you've got the 3 or almost 4 black cars together there as well, with number 85 Nigel Ralphson just in behind. Then just a little bit further up the road from number 83 William Gallagher, who qualified well on row 4 of the grid. He's just ahead of Barber, who's made up ground from the start. So into and through the complex for the first time in this race. It's over 13 minutes plus 1 lap. On board with Barber here as he brakes and turns through the left-handed hairpin, but he's had a hit from somebody there, not sure who it was, but Barber has been sent spinning around, and that good work he'd done on the opening lap of the race has now been undone as he rejoins well down the order. So on to the second lap of the race there. I can see the number 65 car going through, that's Alan Cooper from Wakefield. And these are the cars that are out in front. Well, Sean Traynor is well out in front over the rest of them. The second car with the red stripe is Alex Knight. In third place, the car with the green stripe is Martin Farrelly. But we go back on board now with White. He's got work to do after that poor getaway. Along the straight towards the Tower Corner now. It's right-hander at the end of the straight. There's Jim Davis, number 11. And you can see now that Cam Walton with the blue and yellow stripes has gone past him, and off goes number 67. That's Simon Quinn, the McDonald's training manager in his second season in racing. Has had quite a hefty off there. There's quite a bit of damage to his Mark II Toyota MR2, I'm afraid to say. That is just on the exit of the chicane, I think. Now on board with Martin Farrelly. Now Martin back to racing this weekend. It's his first event of the season. He's been recovering from a broken collarbone that has kept him out of action. Good to have Martin back with us this weekend. You can see there he's in the second of the 2 Rogue Motorsport cars that are right together there. The red one of Alex Knight, the green one of Farrelly, but then there's 3 black cars right behind. 56 is Cam Walton, 11 is Jim Davis, and at the back of that group it's the number 4 car of Chris White. And Cam Walton there going really well this weekend, qualified as well as he has done before on row 3 of the grid, and he's looking now to forge his way into the podium places. Now Tim Hemmen was back on row 6, a little bit further down the order than we sometimes see him. He was 4th in the championship coming into this weekend. He's left himself with a bit of work to do after qualifying though. Now towards Clervaux, the right-hander at the beginning of the lap. And there's this little left flick before then they turn through the right-hander at Hawthorne's corner. And having to do a lot of work there is Hemmen as they come out of the corner, and it's let, I think that's Stuart Nichols, go through. So Nichols now makes up another position from his relatively lowly qualifying slot. Great drive this from Sean Traynor. He's well out in front. He's won 3 races outright so far this season, the others having been won by Stuart Nichols and by Alex Knight. And here comes Martin Farrelly through into second place there, just as he's heading towards the Jim Clark S's. As the exit of Tower, he carried good speed out of the corner, and he was able to get ahead of Alex Knight. Through the right-hander at Barcroft he now goes, but look at this. It's 5 cars really vying for second place here. Farrelly now second, then Knight, then Walton. As we look back, there's Tom Mailings going through, David Rowe as well in the number 49 car, and 81 is the sole remaining Mark 1 car this weekend. That's Merrill Reddit. Unfortunately, we lost David Hemingway after qualifying. Hemingway, who was in 10th position in the championship coming into this weekend, and the first of the Class A cars, representing the oldest of the MR2s, the Mark 1s. So White still at the rear of this group, but it's still quite an intense fight in there. Jim Davis throwing one up on the inside at Cam Walton at the hairpin, but I think Walton has carried more speed out of the corner. But Jim Davis, I think, trying to pull alongside, and Chris White here almost trying to make it 3 abreast, but there's not really room to make that work. He has to dodge now to the right-hand side of the circuit. Meanwhile, it's still side by side between Walton and Davis, who almost made contact there on the exit of Clervaux. It's Davis that has gone back through, Walton down to 4th. Here we are on board with Hemmen, coming out of Hawthorne towards the chicane. Oh, and that's a hit there on the tyre belt from Stuart Nichols, isn't it? Yes, Stuart Nichols there now on the right-hand side of the circuit, going slowly. I think he's picked up some damage. Well, here's a replay. This is the on-board shot with Stuart Nichols now, turning his way through the chicane. You've got to judge it just right, and on that occasion he didn't. He clouted that tyre stack. I think Stuart there knows that he's picked up some damage. He's slowing the car down. Quite heavy damage to the front left of the car, and yes, he's going to pull in there onto the infield and out of harm's way. But Stuart Nichols is out of the race, the man that lay second in the championship coming into this weekend. Bit of dust there being kicked up by the 3rd place man, which is Alex Knight. Now Cam Walton has some work to do here. He lost out to what was 4th position, wasn't it, to Jim Davis. He was running in 4th briefly. It was Walton. He's lost out on 4th place now, but he's keen to get back ahead of Jim Davis, who of course in the last season or so we've been much more accustomed to seeing one of the Mark III Roadsters, but reverting back to the Mark IIs for this season. There go our brave marshals, the unpaid volunteers that do such a sterling job to replace that tyre stack that Stuart Nichols had so carelessly removed from its rightful position. Oh, what a spin from Martin Farrelly! Well, it's his first event of the season, and possibly he's a little bit race rusty, because he has thrown his chances of a podium position away there at the complex. The Hampshire-based IT service sales manager has lost a hatful of places. He's resumed there behind the number 43 car of Darren Oldworth, so he's now outside of the top 10. On board with Martin Farrelly here. He's the driver that's just outside the top 20 in actual fact. Martin, the 46-year-old from Birmingham, has done some Formula Ford racing in the past. There you can see up ahead of him is Maxie Nichols in her black and neon pink Roadster. far he makes his way over the line to start another lap. But here we go. This is the fight for second position still, but of course now it's minus Martin Farrelly, so it's just the one white car at the head of the group, which is Alex Knight. Then it's Jim Davis in third position. It looks like it's Chris White fourth, and Cam Walton, after a promising start this race, has gone backwards a little bit, back down into fifth position. The driver from Henfield in West Sussex, Nigel Ralphson. The traffic policeman is in sixth position. So through Sunny One they go. Looks like there's just a bit of daylight, isn't there, between Davis in third place and White in fourth position. Strikes me that Croft is a circuit that particularly suits the Mark II cars rather than the Mark III Roadsters, which didn't show as well in qualifying. The Mark II is of course a heavier car than the Mark III, and with the 2-litre engine rather than the 1.8 that you find in the Roadster. There's Tim Heron, he's just behind number 21 there, which is Full Hutchinson. They're not too far away now from William Gallagher in that number 83 car. Gallagher running there in, what, 7th position, so this is the fight for 8th and 9th position as they go over the line. Heron is just about, I think, going to get his nose in front of Hutchins. He'll have the outside line though for Clervaux Corner, but he's made it work, hasn't he? So Tim Heron, who's been on the podium this season, is now up into 8th position. On board we go with Hutchins, and you can see already that Heaven has managed to pull out a few car lengths. So through the chicane, this is where Stuart Nichols came a cropper last time. I see those marshals have replaced the tyre stack, but not quite in the same place as it was, I don't think, when Stuart Nichols collected it a couple of laps ago. So there's Ralphson, the ex-Fiat racer in number 85, making his way through Tower Corner, the 5th of that 5-car group. Gallagher a little bit on his own there in 7th, and then you have Heron in 8th place. So through the Jim Clark S's towards Croft, and Jim Davis showing his nose there to Alex Knight. You can see the 2 sister cars there from the Rogue Motorsport stable, with the black and red livery for Davis as opposed to the white and red for the second place man. There once again is Merrill Reddit in number 81 doing battle with David Rowe all the way from Devon. So here's Mark Barber. He's been quietly running really just outside the top 10. That's Mick Nichols, of course, that he's running just behind now after the demise of Stewart earlier on in the race. Stewart, one of 2 retirements. We lost Simon Quinn, of course, as well very early on. Here comes Barber then, tries to get alongside Nichols there, but on the brakes. Well, Nichols is a bit later. Wondered if he might get his car turned through the complex, but he did. And Barber lost it, or has he been collected again? Either way, he now has to go to the wrong side of the tyre stack, and he's lost about half a dozen places there. That's the number 19 car that has gone through of Paul Hudson, one of the Roadsters, and also Wayne Lewis, of course, number 44, who was our pit lane starter. White and Walton here doing battle, and it's sort of, they've broken off really from the group in front now, haven't they, to have their own private scrap over what is 4th position at the moment. So through Tower Corner they go. On board with Walton, former karting teammate in the British University Kart Championship of former champion, double champion indeed, Matt Palmer, who's moved on to the Ginetta GT5 Challenge for this season. Second and third on their own a little bit now, with Traynor up ahead, so it's Traynor, Knight and Davis. Ooh, was that Walton in the background slotting through at, yes it was, wasn't it, at Barcroft. So Walton now does indeed go through to 4th place, so he's up there in the early part of the race. He's now climbed back up to 4th position. Jim Davis, meanwhile, is going to try and make a move on Alex Knight down the inside into the complex. Locking up there is Knight. That gives Davis the chance to get alongside maybe. Go on board with White as he turns his way through the right-hand element, the second part of the complex. And now that little squirt towards the hairpin, which is a very tricky corner indeed. Out of it they come, back onto the start and finish straight once more. That's the 40 car of Lewis Ward, who locks up. That's Wayne Lewis is going to go through on the inside there. That's a good drive from Wayne Lewis actually, because he's up into around about 15th position now from the pit lane, so that's a very good effort indeed. He should have started on row 7, so you'd argue that he's sort of found his way back to where he ought to have been running in this race. And there you can see the 19 car coming through, which is Paul Hudson, who is going great guns as far as the class is concerned. Last lap of the race then, and it's been a change, hasn't it, because Walton has now found his way up into third position. He's had a stellar last lap or so because he's caught and passed Jim Davis. So Walton up to third place. It will be the first time that he's finished on the podium. If he can make it there, let's not preempt things too much. Very much into his cars, his cam. He's done work placements at McLaren and has been racing now in the MR2 Championship for a couple of seasons. Has he made a mistake there that could cost him a podium place? Well, he's made a mistake, but Jim Davis wasn't actually close enough to capitalise. So down into the complex for the final time. Sean Traynor, by the way, is well clear of these three. Out in front in this race, it's been a somewhat lonely procession as far as he has been concerned. But there is our second place man, number 33, which is Alex Knight. He's looking good for P2. Walton looking good for P3. They head up to the line, and there you can see with their headlamps popped up, Sean Traynor has been through to take the checkered flag. A tap of the roof, a wave to the marshals in appreciation, and it's a win for Sean Traynor, his fourth of the season in round 5 of the championship. Here's the confirmation of the results then. Sean Traynor winning by 8.1 seconds. Then it was Knight in second, Walton third, Jim Davis and Christian White completed the top 5. Traynor, no surprise, got the fastest lap as well at 1:41.48. Further down the order, and we're still looking at Class B cars here. Gallagher, Heron, Farrelly and Ben Rowe completing the top 10. Winning Class C was Paul Hudson, 18th position overall. Well, let's now hear from our winner with Matt Suckling.
Sean Traynor, another victory this year in the MR2 Championship. That one was quite easy by the looks of it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest one I've had. It's but yeah, so I mean, to be honest, I got asked if I would have liked a bit more competition. Now I'm quite happy with the way it was.
And why's the reason you were so far ahead?
I think got Alex and I think it was Martin having a battle, and I think it slowed the pair of them up, gave me a chance to make a break, and then it was just a matter of keeping the gap and keeping the car on the track. So
I'm sure you'll take it.
Oh, I'll take it, yeah.
Alex Knight, second place in that race. That looked very hard work though.
It was a hard place second because Sean just disappeared, and to be honest, I spent the whole race driving on the mirrors trying to keep everybody behind me. The one advantage I've got is I have raced here before and some of them haven't, so at least I knew where I wanted to be all the time to make it difficult for them to come through.
That's right, that's a fairly new track for most people out there.
Yeah, it is, but that's the one advantage that I've certainly got this time, and at least used it. In that race, I'll try and put Sean under a little bit more pressure in the next one, because I heard him say that was his easiest win so far, so we don't want that again.
Any changes do you reckon you'll make to the car during the break?
Yeah, we've got something dragging. I put new pads on the back in between quali and the race, and something's dragging as I'm on the straight, so I can feel a rubbing noise. So we'll see what Rogue can do to sort that. But I don't think it was that was holding me up. I think it was just driving on mirrors and keeping the guys behind me.
Still fairly happy with second place though?
Yeah, delighted, absolutely. Anywhere on the podium, I'm always happy.
Well done, Alex. Cam Moulton third place there, and you got it right towards the end. Great battle going on.
Yeah, cheers. I had a good couple of first laps, picked off a few places, and then misfire came in halfway through the race and cost me those places back going down the straight, so I had to pick them off again eventually. So
it's quite hard work here at Croft, because there's very, very long straights.
Yeah, very long straights, but it just means if you get a good exit beforehand, then you can pick people off down the straights as well, slipstream them, so that seemed to work coming out of Tower Corner.
Got another race to come later on this afternoon. Another podium you're hoping for?
Yeah, really hoping for another podium. I don't know if I put in a quick lap because I was stuck in the train behind Alex for quite a while, so it'd be interesting to see where I'm starting. If it's anywhere near the front, I'm hoping for another one.
Really good fight to watch there for second place, and well done on third place.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Welcome back to Croft for the second race of the weekend. The grid for this one set by the fastest lap times that were set during the opening race. So it's Traynor and Knight on the front row. As the red lights are on, they go out, and it's another 30 minutes plus one lap of racing ahead of us. Probably, therefore, going to be a 9-lap race, and the field sets off. There's 29 cars that have survived the exertions of race 1. They head down towards Clervaux for the first time. It's another good start from Simon Quinn, not from Simon Quinn, from Sean Traynor. Simon Quinn, one of the non-starters. Sean Traynor then turning his way through Clervaux, and Hawthorne for the first time again in the lead of the race. Now Stuart Nichols, sterling effort here to get the car back out. It's a bit of a tank take special now, I'm afraid, especially on the front left corner. But Stuart Nichols, after that heavy hit of the tyre stack at Hawthorne at the chicane in race 1, is at least back out. It's, from his point of view, hopefully be one of the scores that he'll be able to drop at the end of the season. Tim Heron, that is, that has gone off. And yes, he's hit the barriers, not too hard. Now, can he continue? There's certainly some damage to the wing of that car. It looks like he might have decided to pawn that in, though, and Tim Heron therefore goes out of the race. This is what it looked like from on board. There's that kink just before the corner. Nigel Ralphson is ahead. Heron really left with nowhere to go. It was either hit Nigel Ralphson ahead of us or go off. He went off. And yes, it may not be just bodywork damage that has been caused, because Heron straight away pulling that car up against the hedge. So the leading cars already making their way through the complex. There you can see the 22 car, the white and blue machine of Mark Barber. Wayne Lewis is just behind him as well. So let's see what he can do, because he had a good drive from the pit lane in race number 1. And that put him on to row 7 of the grid for race 2. He's already making up a little bit of ground. Stuart Nichols here, we can see now he started on row 6 for this one. So down into the right-hander at Clervaux. There's the 88 car. That's what I mean. You can see there on Stuart Nichols' car, the shade of blue of the tape doesn't unfortunately match the shade of blue of the rest of his car. Otherwise it would look a little bit more discreet, I think. It's missing also the headlamp unit and I think bits of bodywork as well. After that off in race 1, he hopefully won't be making that same mistake again. Down towards Tower they go. You can see the leaders have already exited the corner. There's the 73 car of Simon Wallace. Mark Barber going through. 26 going well is Paul Cook. He finished race 1 in 13th position it was in the end, so a good result there for Paul. Here's Mark 2. See the 21 car that we are just going past, that is Phil Hutchins, and that's at Barcross. That's a very quick part of the circuit, brave place to be making a move. Paul Hudson you can see in there in the roadster black car with the orange stripe as well. We'll just look at the next group ahead of that briefly. There's Ralphson, just behind him is Davis, just behind him is Fowley. Now Fowley for race 2 started only 8th on the grid. He was 3rd on the grid for race 1, so his fastest lap time in race 1 was about 1.2 seconds off that of the fastest lap, which was set by Sean Traynor, 1:41.48. And of course that was the first race for the MR2s here at Croft Circuit, and that constituted for the moment at least a lap record. So Farrelly turns his way through Clervaux corner. Done some kart racing in the past before getting into the MR2 Championship a little while back now. There you can see him, he's just behind Ralphson and Jim Davis. Davis, who started on the 3rd row of the grid, heading now down towards Tower Corner once again. So it's White in 2nd place. It looks like Alex Knight in 3rd position. And Ralphson, Davis and Farrelly, with the leader of course being Sean Traynor, as he was in the first race, already checking out and pulling off into the distance. Sean Traynor certainly looking to be the man to beat in this season's Miller's Oils Toyota MR2 Championship, doing this year what Matt Palmer has done for the past couple of seasons, being really the dominant force. Interesting to see if anyone can do anything to stop Sean Traynor. Look at Ralphson and Davis going through. Davis was the only man who last season beat Matt Palmer during the course of the championship. But Palmer it was that took 13 wins from 16 on his way to the 2014 title. Through the complex the cars go, almost nose to tail between Ralphson and Davis, turning their way now through the left-handed hairpin that ends the lap. Number 50 you can see there, that is the car of Andrew Strange, the 34-year-old management consultant from London. It's a car that was built by Rogue. So here's Stuart Nichols. He with a bit of work to do then, starting from row 6 in that damaged car. Wonder how far up the order he's going to be able to get. It's not going entirely to plan for him so far, but to be fair to Stuart, he didn't drive the circuit before qualifying at 12 o'clock today, just a few hours ago. Some of the drivers were up here testing either just a couple of days ago on Friday or an earlier track day here. And for the moment, it's behind the number 80 car, which is David Asbury. David, who started a bit further back on the grid on row 10, so it suggests that it's not been the best of starts to the race for Stuart. Darren Aldworth also going through there, and we're going to get here, I think. The Nichols is together on track because Stuart quite slow there, and he's dropped back behind behind Aldworth and Paul Cook as well, and that's going to put him only just ahead of his father Mick, who he normally finishes ahead of. They've both had top 6 finishes during the course of the season so far. Stuart lay second in the championship going into this weekend, Mick in 7th, and of course Stuart's sister Maxine is also racing as well. She was one of the drivers that came up to Croft for some pre-event preparation, and unfortunately she picked up quite a bit of damage in doing so, which her sponsors MJ Auto Repairs have put right since then. Watch David Asbury go through with Aldworth behind him, then it's Cook, then it's the father and son Nichols team. They swing left through the first part of the complex. It's Farrelly here, he's already making his way down the start and finish straight past the pit garages and the pit lane exit, and you can see the 2 cars ahead going side by side, and we are going to have a change there, aren't we? But then that's Jim Davis that runs out wide on the exit of the corner. He gets very much out of shape. It holds up as well, number 85 Nigel Ralston, and all of a sudden Martin Farrelly is with them, and it's almost 3 abreast now as they go through Hawthorne. Farrelly's the driver with a bit more momentum, and I think he's made it past both of them there. Hand up, say thank you very much indeed, chaps. But Farrelly there really capitalising on a mistake from Davis that really badly compromised Nigel Ralston, who was only just behind him. So Farrelly going up a couple of spots there. As we look back to this battle, which now has changed around because Aldworth number 43 has got ahead of Asbury number 80, so the man from Oxford now ahead of Romford's Asbury. And there's Chris White, number 4. He is running in 2nd position with Alex Knight in 3rd, and then in 4th place now it's Farrelly, isn't it, with Ralphson in 5th, and in 6th place it is the car of Jim Davis. The car then that's not really featured, I'm afraid to say, is Cam Walton. Now he has dropped back down the order. He started on row 2 of the grid, didn't get a great start, and I think he may be in a spot of bother, unfortunately, Cam Walton. Chris White, we are on board with him again in P2 with a pretty much empty track ahead of him. It's almost like a pinprick on the horizon, isn't it, that car of Sean Train. You just don't sense that Christian White is going to be catching that anytime soon. White, who lies 5th in the championship, had a non-finish in the opening round of the championship at Donington Park, ending up in the gravel trap. See once again there the number 95 car of Tom Mailings, the ex-Mini Stocks Formula 2 racer, and he is a bit further back down the order, just outside the top 20. So Farrelly, Ralphson and Davis 4th, 5th and 6th at the moment, making their way through Hawthorne now into the chicane, onto the old start and finish straight here at Croft, and you can see there that expansive tarmac on the left hand side of the circuit is the old pit lane. Now here comes Alex Knight challenging for 2nd position. He gets a bit out of shape there, the back stepped out on the car. I think he kept it together and held on to 3rd place. Out of the Tower Corner goes that battle for 5th and 6th between the 2 black cars of Ralphson and Davis, who lost 2 places with that mistake at Clairvaux a lap and a half ago now. It's Barcroft, the quick right-hand kink, and then the first part of Surrey. You can see where the track goes straight on there. That's the old original circuit at Croft. The more modern circuit has now been around for the thick end of 20 years. It doesn't really seem that long, it must be said. So there is White with Knight still behind him. Brake lights go on for the hairpin, which they'll take at only around about 30 miles an hour, and they'll accelerate away. Good exit from the corner can be all important. If you can get a good exit, carry the speed out of the corner down the straight, you could be in line to make a challenge on the car in front, but I don't think that's going to be the case this time as far as Knight is concerned. Knight, a winner at Brands Hatch a month ago, and lying third in the championship coming into this weekend. Already, though, 33 points behind Sean Traynor, such has been Traynor's good form so far this year. Knight with one win, but no other podium finishes so far this year. And here that he goes, he's trying to go around the outside of White at Tower Corner this time. It doesn't make it work. White acknowledging some good fair driving, and yes, you can see actually now quite a distance in his rear view mirror. If you look at the top of your screen there, Knight is dropping back a little bit and into the clutches of Martin Farrelly. So we saw these two cars running together in race number 1 earlier on in the afternoon, but now they're back together again, reunited in their matching Rogue Motorsport liveries. Car 33 for Knight, car 10 for Farrelly. Now can Farrelly get up into the podium positions here? He's all of a sudden been given a snip of it really, because he was a little bit further behind Alex Knight. Through the complex he goes with only half a car length in it. There's a slower car there that is pulling up. Now who is that? Couldn't quite make it out. It was possibly someone that was just keeping well out of the way of the leaders as they came through, having seen the blue flags waved by the marshals. So Traynor well out in front, second, third and fourth together here, and there we see a better exit that time from Farrelly in the white and green car. That has allowed him to get alongside and indeed ahead of Alex Knight now as they go on to the final lap of the race. So Farrelly here looking good for a podium position from 8th on the grid, but it's the inside line for Knight and he just about slots through. Farrelly goes too deep, he goes wide, and he's kept it in control. No, he's not, he's spun around, he's facing the oncoming traffic. I noticed that Knight went through the gravel as well, although not to the same extent that Farrelly did, and Farrelly's chances of a podium have just gone up in the dust there of that gravel trap, and he drops back down, well down the order I'm afraid to say, but he's got it back on the road now. Oh, and he's off again, a big moment and a big spin at the chicane. So in the space of about 150 yards, Farrelly spins twice. He's got bits of bodywork now hanging from his car as well. It has not been an auspicious end to the race. Wayne Lewis, you could see number 44 going through. That puts him into 7th position now. Leader then is Sean Traynor. He's got the headlamps popped up, hasn't he, to show that he's coming through. If there are any back marks indeed ahead of him, there's green flags waving, so I think someone must be off on the sunny corner. We can't see who that is, I'm afraid to say. So Traynor is looking good for another win, his 5th of the season. It looks like it's going to be White from Knight, with Farrelly no longer in the equation, of course. Can White hold on? Knight locks up as he goes into the complex. Through the hairpin goes number 27 though, Sean Traynor, the driver from Winchester, the 44-year-old in this car, maintained and prepared by Lee Hall. He's up to the line and he takes the checkered flag for the second time this weekend. Here's White, he's going to come through and cling on to second place from Alex Knight then at the end of another 9-lap race around this Croft circuit. So celebrations once again for number 27, Sean Traynor, and he's going to extend his lead in the championship. We go on board with Stuart Nichols. Now Stuart here is running in 13th position. That's Darren Aldworth ahead. He's in 12th. And this hasn't been one of Stuart Nichols' finest weekends. I'm sure he'll be the first to admit that. Nevertheless, he still seems pretty happy with himself. Let's get a look at the results then. Sean Traynor winning by 8.43 seconds this time from White, Knight, Davis, Ralphson and Mark Barber finishing in 6th position. Sean Traynor also reduced his own lap record to a 1:41.24 as well. Further back down the order is Wayne Lewis 7th, William Galling 8th, Martin Farrelly eventually finishing 9th. The first of the Class C cars was Stuart Nichols in 13th position overall.
Sean Traynor, another win in the MR2 Championship, second double of the year, one at Donington, one here at Croft. Not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. Like as just said, I'd be happy to come back here again. It's it got more enjoyable as the weekend's gone on.
Once again, you managed to pull away a little bit of a gap in that one as well.
Yeah, I think it was a bit closer there. I think Christian got past Alex, and then he started to put a bit of a chase on, and I'm not sure if his tyres started to overheat but I noticed he was coming after me, and then I don't think I was getting any quicker, but then he started back into Alex, and I think once the battle with him and Alex started again, it gave me some breathing space, and it just made it a bit easier for me. I could sort of just concentrate on just putting the laps in and waiting for the checkered flag.
Christian White, second place in that MR2 race. A topsy-turvy day for you, but nice to get on the podium to end.
Yeah, a bit up and down. Had a bit of a first corner incident in the first race, and that put me back a little bit. Second race, obviously, come out a lot better for me. So, yeah, pleased with the result.
And by the time you got through, probably not enough time to catch Sean.
I thought for a time being I might be sort of reeling him in a touch, and then no, car was struggling a little bit. But no, pleased with the result. Working with Russ Hennessy, and he's worked hard this weekend. Did well Friday testing, and yeah, paid dividends today.
Alex on the podium once more here today at Croft. Do you enjoy that one as well?
Yeah, really delighted. Croft's been good, second and a third. I'd like to repeat that weekend next weekend. I think we're at Cadwell next, so we'll see if we can do it again there.
And what was happening towards the end on the last lap? I think Farrelly went off, didn't he?
Martin was, I think, on the outside. He'd got a better drive out of the hairpin, was on my outside going down the hairpin. I was damned if I was going to lose that podium. I had the inside line, so there's no way around the outside on a corner, I'm afraid. So I'm not sure where he finished, to be honest, but Chris and I were having a great tussle, so it was good.
But for you as well, this year it's been a solid year so far, right up there in the championship.
Yeah, it's early days though, isn't it? It's only 3 rounds in, so there's a long way to go.
Exactly, but good job today. Well done, Alex.
Thank you very much.
6 rounds down, 10 more to go. Let's have a look at the point standings. No surprise to see that Sean Traynor on top by more than 40 points over his nearest rival, which is now Alex Knight. Stuart Nichols having had a disappointing weekend. Christian White, Tim Heron despite the non-finish, and Mark Barber round out the top 6 for the moment, but there's still a long way to go. Well, that's it from Croft Circuit. The championship continues at Cadwell Park, but we'll see you again at Anglesey. Bye-bye for now.